A bit of chair shifting going on. Musical chairs being played. We learn overnight the Liberal Democrat Senator David Leyonhjelm is going to walk away from his federal senator's job and contest the New South Wales state election in the upper house. He's on the line. Senator, good morning. Thanks for your time.
Good morning, Steve.
So you need 4.5% of the vote in New South Wales to get a job. You need 14 federally. Cynics might suggest that you've done the numbers and you've worked out that you can't get in federally and you've got more chance of getting a job in New South Wales.
Well, those cynics actually don't understand how either the New South Wales or federal Senate system works. You don't need those full quotas to get elected. You can get elected on about half that in both cases. But it is true, your general point, that it's easier to get elected to the New South Wales Legislative Council than the Senate. That is accurate. But it's well within reach of the Liberal Democrats, and we fully expect to hold our seat. It's just that I won't be the candidate.
The interesting point that you made is that you, according to you, you are more interested in state issues, and you have labelled New South Wales as being a nanny state with too many restrictive laws. I would be of the view that Victoria's probably worse and South Australia worse again, and Canberra is the worst of all. So you've obviously chosen New South Wales because you prefer to live here.
Well, actually, that's a cynical comment, but there may be a little bit of truth in that.
You couldn't call me a cynic, surely not.
But, well, look, the difference between them, you may be right. I'm not going to argue with you about which is worse, but they are all bad, and certainly New South Wales is no better than any of the other states or territories. It is very nanny state-ish, it's past a joke. I think we're all over it. One of the things I discovered also was that when I chaired the nanny state inquiry in the previous parliament and the red tape inquiry in the current parliament, there's so many of the issues that annoy people, that stop businesses from employing staff and making profits, and all the things that we like, the things that irritate us and mess with our lives, fundamentally come from the states. Now, the Commonwealth does get involved with them, but mostly via the COAG system, and it's a sort of a coordination role. And over again, we'd make recommendations about removing restrictions, removing nanny state controls, removing red tape, and they would be directed at state governments. So, I feel strongly about those sorts of issues, and I want to try and do something about it. The other thing is that I've done a lot of pushing and poking the government on taxes and spending, and I do care about those issues, but, in the end, I'm not an economist, and so I'm a little bit out of my comfort zone, whereas the things that I care about at the state level, they're well within my comfort zone.
You are a pure Liberal Democrat. You and I have spoken before. I don't agree with some of your ideas. Mm-hmm. And Mark Latham, who I spoke to earlier, was with you in the Liberal Democrat, was intending to become a member with the Liberal Democrats, has now walked away as One Nation.
Yes.
He's not as pure as you either.
Mm-hmm.
For those listening to us who are going to tick your name on the ballot paper for the upper house in New South Wales, you're not seriously suggesting, are you, that we're going to remove speed limits on our roads?
No. Our policy is not to remove speed limits. Our policy is to have more realistic speed limits. We drive the same cars as the people in Germany do, for example, and yet they can drive it. I'm not talking about metropolitan areas around schools and things like that.
No, it's 130 on their autobahns. I was there last month.
Correct, yes, that's right. And some of their autobahns are unrestricted. And yet, their safety record is comparable to ours. We have this very oppressive attitude to speed, and yet we have huge distances to travel. And the argument is that the faster you go, the more people are going to die. And yet, they won't listen to the argument, well, perhaps if you went a bit faster and you didn't spend so much time sitting in the damn car, that might also be safe. So we need to have a debate about things like that. Now, there is actually a method for determining speed limits based on what the public, the driving public, think is a safe and acceptable speed. That's called the 85th percentile. When you take the speed limit off, you measure what speed drivers travel at, and then you reimpose the speed limit based on...
So you'd scrap things like we're getting down to 30k in some city streets. You can't drive at 30, I agree with you on that. 40 is probably ridiculous as well.
Yes. So I don't like 40 either. I'm happy enough with 50 around the suburbs. And there are probably a few schools where you might even have to come down to 40 when the kids are about. But there's quite a lot of school areas, school zones where a 40 is...
So what am I doing on the Hume going south to Melbourne? 120?
120, 130, I think would be closer to it. But what I'd like to find out is what do drivers think is the safe speed, and you can do that just by monitoring the speed they'll travel at when they know they're not going to get booked. People are not suicidal. You'll get the occasional idiot. But overall, people just want to get there in a reasonable time safely. Just
finally, how are you going to work the timing of this? Because the federal election we know is probably going to be in May.
Yes.
State elections in March. When do you hand in your resignation as a federal senator?
It'll probably be either the 28th of February or the 1st of March. Nominations open from the 1st of March in New South Wales. The reason that there's a little bit of uncertainty is I'm waiting for some advice as to how... what effect it has on my staff. I want to make sure they're looked after.
What effect does it have on the nation? What happens in the Senate?
Well, we hope, the Liberal Democrats would certainly hope to hold the Senate seat. We actually will be running in all the states, and we would hope to pick up more than one Senate seat. It's just that I won't be the candidate. But the cause of the Liberal Democrats, small government, low taxes, getting the government off your back and out of your pocket, leaving you alone, letting people spend their own money, that cause will go on. It's not just about me. It's a whole movement. And we've got 10,000 members. We're very keen on pushing our principles. And we all agree that the less government we have, the better off we'll be. And it doesn't just depend on me pushing that message.
Okay, good to catch up again. Thanks.
Thanks, Steve.
Senator David Leyonhjelm.